With respect to newspaper, the first news Canadian visas in hand, record number of Indians illegally entering US seeking asylum in UK. Which is just stuck in popular this thing is that people want to go to US because of the fact that it's a prospering country. It opens up a lot of doors for you, and if you see, Indian population comprises of just 1.5% of the US population, but their contribution to their GDP is around 5 to 6%. So it's an enterprising country for Indian citizens. Although they have extremely hard visa norms, so therefore people will try to navigate through soft borders. And what are the best soft borders? Either it is there are two borders, either it is Canada or Mexico. Now Mexico is also called as the route through Mexico is also called as the donkey route, but at the same point of time it has its fair of own risks. Therefore people want is that they should go through Canada. And then if you have a Canadian or a US visa, then you can stay over in UK without for those flight changes without having a separate visa for UK. And that is where a lot of people are taking out these loopholes, that staying back in UK. And because the deportation work takes a lot of time, therefore they seek asylum in UK and then stay even beyond the asylum time that has been given to them. So this is the news that has been covered here. It's there on the first page and the second page. Then the second and the more important news, the two more important news that we need to see from the first page. The second news is with respect to the president calls the judiciary for that the poor are afraid to going to courts. Now this was a 2 day summit that happened in Delhi, where you had this national conference of district judiciary. Now it was attended by a number of luminaries, and number of people gave their speech, including the honorable prime minister and the CGI and the president. And what the president had to say was that the poor are typically afraid to go to courts. They have something called as a kala court syndrome or a black court syndrome, where they think that the justice will not be provided to them, and then the trial in itself and the adjudication of the process itself will be the punishment. And that is something that has been talked about here. And the process should be clear, the process should be cheap, the process should not take time. And we've recently had a case where there was a POXO case, where conviction was given to six this thing people after 32 years. And now you have and she also uploaded new versions of BNSS. The Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita has provided section 479 of this, which basically says if any particular person has completed one third of the maximum sentence, that person can be then that person can be basically let off, so on bail. So these are certain developments. And then the CGI had said that disposal rate needs to increase, and right now there are vacancies around 27-28% vacancies that are there. Plus what we need to see is the disposal to filing ratio. So basically it's the net adding of cases, so that needs to come down. And then you should also be aware of this particular three-stage system that they've created. The Supreme Court committee, there was a committee on reducing the arrears, and basically first they wanted to come up with those cases which needs to be resolved at the earliest. And for that you have this district management this thing you have this district level case management committee to identify these target cases. And then the second stage is to resolve the cases pending before the courts for 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and more than 30 years. And from January you will also execute the third phase, where you will also clear backlogs pending over a decade. So all of these cases will be there. Then lok adalats you need to also work on pre litigation stage, folks. And then this pre litigation stage is basically called as ADR. So alternate dispute redressal mechanism, lok adalats, all of these things needs to be done. And then courts also needs to be female friendly, a news that we'll anyways cover in the next part. So we need to ensure that justice is there for disabled groups, for women, for people with disability, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes. All of this needs to be done. And then judicial academy and innovative training also needs to happen at the level of judicial academies. So these are all the news that were covered. Then apart from that, just like there was a HEMA committee panel for overseeing the regulation on the exploitation of women in the Malayali film industry, a similar panel was set up by KCR in 2019 to probe against the allegations of sexual harassment in the Telugu film industry. It submitted a report in 2022, but nothing was happened on that. This report was shelved, and it was said that that whatever has come out of this report is vague and cannot be implemented. And but the malaise is the same. The malaise is the same. You have the panel also went into these 24 craft people, which are working within the Telugu industry, and they saw that there is a lot of quid pro quo. There's a lot of casting couch. There's a lot of sexual harassment at various levels within the Telugu film industry as well, and something that needs to be taken care of. And it's good that news like these are now spreading to other small pockets of this film industries. And the more this becomes mainstream, the more difficult it will be for any particular perpetrator to basically have such actions, because then they know that they cannot go scot free. So these are good developments for women empowerment in the country, and you can note them down for your ethics and essay as well. Then let's come to the meat of the newspaper. Yeah. So the first is lest we forget. So if you want to read about the anti-Sikh riots, you can read about it, and then what had happened. Basically, this article is about the Nanavati Commission and the Jagdish Titler this thing of issue. If you want to read it, you can read it. But let's go to much more important news. Now, slow but steady. Now, if you see the numbers, especially most of you are from econ. Now, the numbers for the latest GDP quarter has been released, and the latest GDP quarter numbers. Just a second, folks. Just a second. I think this has become pinned. Yeah. So, the numbers for the latest numbers for GDP has come, and that it has come to a 5-quarter low at 6.7% in the first quarter, April to June. Now the RBI was expecting around 7.1, but it has come to 6.7. It is because of the government spending during the election season was low. The capital expenditure which the government usually does was low, and because of that you had a sluggish growth. Apart from the fact that even the agricultural sector was growing at a lower pace, it only grew by around 2% in this particular this thing. And then the farm sector last year also had grown by only 1.4%. So these are numbers that you need to remember, especially in agriculture. You should know that what is the agrarian growth rate. Now we have the coming up of good monsoon, and probably because of good monsoon, we might see a revival of the agricultural growth rate. And because we will see a revival in the agricultural growth rate, we might see a revival in the rural consumption as well. So some good news might come in quarter number 2, and we might see that rebound in terms of growth. Then the manufacturing growth also came down to around 7% from around 9% in the previous quarter. And then the aggregate sales of listed non-financial companies had also increased by around 7%. Their net profits had also increased. So you had this mixed kind of number, but the growth rate was basically reduced because of A, agrarian factors, B, because of the fact that the government expenditure, and especially the capital expenditure of the government, was is going down, and this is what is written: the capital expenditure of the government declined by 35%, and the momentum is basically taken up by either the residents or the firms. So and this is because of the elections. So this is the decomposition of the growth rate. Then a very important article from the point of view of your GS paper number 3, economics, then economics section, then also for economics optional, and also for basically countering anything with respect to your debates of how to wean off Punjab and Haryana from the water guzzling crops, and how to improve their overall society and economy. Now, all of us know that Haryana and Punjab, they grow a lot of wheat and a lot of paddy. And there is, by the way, there is another article on the explained page which I will not cover because of time, but you should read it. But you this is a good article which covers that aspect as well. Now, Haryana and Punjab are basically both these states produce a lot of water guzzling crops like paddy. Basmati rice is something that they produce. So they basically use flooding of the entire fields, and then flooding of entire fields. Then they transplant paddy from nurseries, and then grow this. Now the problem is that they get a lot of subsidies for growing paddy, and therefore to wean them away from paddy is going to demand they're going to demand a lot of money. Now let's take the case of Punjab. Now a typical Punjab farmer gets around 39,000 rupees per hectare of subsidy for production of paddy in forms of, say, your electricity and water subsidy. Plus he also knows that farmer also knows that whatever is being produced, 90% of the procurement happens from Punjab and Haryana. So whatever is being produced will be sold to the FSI at a profitable rate. So because of this supply side and the fact that there will be demand for their products, they are into production of this. Now what the Punjab government has done is that they are giving an incentive of 17,500 per hectare to basically wean off farmers away from this particular water guzzling crop. Now and this covering up to 5 hectares, and the scheme will be funded in the ratio of 60:40, with center and Punjab government sharing the expenditure. But the point is, if a farmer is getting say 40,000, 39,000 rupees per hectare, and then you are asking that farmer, no, I'm going to only give you 17,500, that person is not going to switch to even to profitable crops like pulses, despite the fact that you're getting explicit money, because of the fact that you don't know whether you will be able to sell your product or not. So what needs to happen is, first the government needs to increase the funding of the subsidy. They need to increase it to at least 35,000 rupees per hectare, and in the long run, it should not be a one-off thing. It should not be for 1 year. It should be at least for 5 years, so that you basically encourage the farmers to go away from these crops. And then once that happens, you also needs to take into consideration Food Corporation of India. And then because the procurement of this will be done by NAFED, you should ensure that NAFED will be able to procure this oilseeds and pulses from these farmers, so that they do not face that demand and supply issue. At the same point of time, this is the benefits are well known. Apart from soil degradation and water soil, your greenhouse gas production will also reduce. And even if you see, paddy requires 20-25 irrigation times irrigation, and the pulses, oilseeds and millets require only 4 irrigation cycles. And especially in a state like Punjab, where 87% of their water blocks are categorized as exploited, critical or semi-critical. So all of these benefits are going to be there, but you can only see all these benefits if the center and the states come together and increase this subsidy, as well as the fact that this crop diversification and All of this was also going to save money on the part of FCI in terms of procurement, and then they can procure this particular rice from the rest of the country. Because if you see the major procurement, 70-80% of the procurement happens from Haryana and Punjab. So this is a way for all of them to diversify, and even the farmers can earn something like 4 carbon credits from this diversification, and then you can trade these carbon credits on the carbon credit market. So beautiful article that you need to read on this. Then next is the hustling democracy. Now there's this debate between Yogendra Yadav and Peter Ronald D'Souza with respect to the fact that is the Indian imagination dead, or is there still political philosophy that is being played in India. And this is a counter article to Yogendra Yadav's article, who basically says that we do not get any political theorists in our country now. We do not have this explanation of the framework of politics, and the political thinking has also died. But basically, if political thinking has also died, then we should not have more laws. We should not be changing our laws. But the fact that we have changed our criminal laws, the fact that we have new things that are coming in Indian polity, in terms of say better buying of goods, or in terms of even the acts that are being revised, for example, for women's security. For example, you have new acts for the BNSS. All these acts are there. The Triple Talaq Act, or even the amendments to the PMLA. So all of this basically thinks that yes, there is political thinking, there is action. If you're talking about, say, Uniform Civil Code, so yes, there are ideas, but at the same point of time, you cannot, no one person can paint the entire picture of India. You can only see it only in parts. So just to say that the political thinking is dead in India is not something that will cut the ice. And then apart from that, the author here takes an example of Mumbai airport, that how the airport in itself has changed, and the philosophy of Indian political philosophy has changed. And you can see this from the airports. Now the airport is run by a private entity. Earlier it was run by a government entity, so which shows the idea that now you have the private sector for the hustle towards making infrastructure and making it work. Then second thing is consumerism, again something which is there in Indian polity, that how we have moved away from that self growth, and then we will only consume what is limited to a major consumer state, where we want to consume everything. We also want to consume something which is extraordinary, which is very expensive. And then the other element is that we might not be able to see eye to eye. There are different kinds of cultures. For example, Samuel Huntington talks about the clash of civilizations. So here he also talks about clash of civilizations, a person who's loud in terms of music, and then a person who does not like it, but at the same point of time they come together, and then they share the air the seat in the aeroplane. So basically all of this is saying that it's more of a philosophical thing, and you should consider reading this article, because this gives you an idea into how to write about philosophical things when you are going to write philosophical essays. That's the idea behind this particular article. Then the next article is that there is a need to reimagine corporate governance in the age of AI. Now, the oversight needs to be changed, and you need to revisit the corporate governance framework in the world of AI. Now, who is accountable in an AI driven decision? So, because a lot of decisions in the companies will be taken up by AI. Who to target, who not to target. For example, which ad should be shown to me, what kinds of algorithm should be shown to me. This is all what machine is determining. But at the same point of time, you should have explainable AIs, just like I told you about Bletchley Park Summit, and then you have the AI Act, where it should not be a complete black box. There should be some individual who should be in charge of the AI, and who should be responsible if something goes wrong, that this person will be held responsible. So you need to take these decisions, and you need to prepare with the rapid technological changes. The boards and the technological officers, the CTO, should be ready with how to handle all of these. Then there are a lot of the article talks about Shell and Tata Steel, and all of them have employed AI. A lot of companies have employed AI and enhance their this thing efficiency and profitability. But at the same point of time, we need to see that if they can apply the AI in their businesses, they should also apply AI in their governances. At the same point of time, this is going to be disruption of sorts. And if you see, we have something called as creative destruction. You might have read that you will keep on creating new structures when technological changes. And we need to have this fast forward thinking approach towards making data driven decision making. So that should also be at the corporate governance level, that data driven decisions should be taken, and it should be seen as soon as possible. At the same point of time, you should have people in the board which can also think outside the board. You should not have governance where it is only people in 60s and 70s which are thinking about these boards. You should have young people in boards as well, who can bring fresh ideas, and they can think out of the box for the growth of a company. So you can read this. Then caste cohesion, caste census will weaken cohesion and undermine caste society. You can read this article. It's not really fun, but at the same point of time, it goes into the politics of NDA versus JDU versus the NCP. There's a lot of debate about whether caste census should be there, whether it will create more problems or not. But at the same point of time, when the caste census was conducted in Bihar, we saw that we were able to identify that the caste benefits were not being extended to a lot of the society. In fact, on the basis of this, again, you can have subcategorization in reservation, which is now being allowed by the Supreme Court. So you should see that where are the issues. Once you don't, if you do not have data, you're not able to you're not able to basically talk about it. So I have a personal bias against this particular article, because just wishing away caste is not going to create a casteless society. Caste is one of the biggest realities of this country, and you need to have accurate number of data, and you need to have accurate number of data points for each particular caste to identify their problem, and then how to improve their socio-economic condition. Then another important news: day one in Brazil without X now, because of a number of cases, especially in the Supreme Court of Brazil. The Twitter had actually closed their doors in Brazil, and it's one of the biggest markets of Twitter. But at the same point of time, they were being threatened, and this is a new phase that has started in the world, where the polity and the executive and the judiciary are now threatening multinational companies that we will throw you out of the country. So read about this. Then how SC has centered the rights of accused in the recent PMLA cases. Now we talked about this Vijay Mandal Chaudhary versus Union of India, where a 3-judge bench in the Supreme Court had said that the restrictive bail conditions and wide-ranging powers of the of ED are correct. Now under Section 19 of PMLA Act, the ED can basically arrest any person who they think is guilty of laundering money, and then you have this twin test that person has to show that if you see this twin condition, the person has to show Section 45 of PMLA, that for requiring bail, he has not committed the offence under PMLA. So the burden is on the individual rather than on the prosecution. And then second, he will not commit any crime offence on bail. So these two are the twin conditions that needs to be seen. At the same point of time, when you are arrested under Article 19 of PMLA, the court also in the Vijay Mandal case said that the EFIR, the Enforcement Case Information Report, which is the FIR, I mean, need not be given. But now the courts are also saying that you need to orally and in written give the person under Article 20 of the Constitution. You should give all the details of the arrest. Without that, it will be an illegal arrest. Then section section 436A of the Criminal Procedure Act also says that if a person has maintained half of the period, then that person is also eligible for bail. But now this has been replaced by section 479, which we had read in the earlier article, that even if you've done one third of the maximum sentence, that you can be released. But if there are number of offences that are multiple cases pending against you, then this will not apply. Then you also need to have the need and necessity to arrest. That was there any need to or necessity to arrest an individual, and if the ED believes so, then the person can be arrested. But at the same point of time, I mean, the incarceration should not become a punishment in itself, and that is why both Manish Sisodia as well as BRS leader K. Kavita was given relief on this aspect. And lastly, section 50 of PMLA allows that any particular person who makes a who makes a confession in front of the officers of ED will be taken into consideration. But then under section 25 and now section 23 of Bharatiya Saksha Adhiniyam, the Indian Evidence Act, any particular confession in front of an officer is not admissible as proof during the trial. So this is about this. Then another important article, Rule 170 of the Drugs Act, which basically says that the Drugs and Cosmetic Acts, Rule 70 says that any Ayush medicine that needs to basically put an advertisement needs to first you should have this rule whereby any particular manufacturer has to submit the details of the rationale where the medicine is coming from. See, in case of allopathic, you have clinical trials, you have 3 phases of clinical trials. But in terms of these Ayush medicines, you only have these authoritative books and indication of usage, evidence of safety and stuff. All these needs to be given, and these should not have hyperbole claims that diabetes will go and then you will be rid of cancer. All these hyperbole claims should not be there. Now apart from that, any particular 60 ingredients that are used, for example snake venom or snake head, heavy elements are used, then the licensing are also required. Now the Ayush, the ASUD tab, basically the Technical Advisory Board that recommends actions of regulation of Ayush, basically said that there is Magic and Drugs and Magic Remedies Act. If there is anything that happens in this particular case, if any particular party goes for hyperbole, then you can prosecute that particular person under the Drugs and Magic Remedies Act. Now that has led to the ministry and Ayush ministries basically go very cold on Rule 170, and the Supreme Court has recently pulled up the entire Ayush ministry for letting all these players put huge advertisements in violation of Rule 170 of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So read about this. Then another important article, Namibia, Botswana, Angola, Zambia, they are facing the worst drought of their times, and it is because of the El Nino condition that emerged in 2023, and because of that they are facing a huge drought, and because of drought they do not have adequate food, to eat, and therefore they are killing around. They have a plan of killing around 700 animals, which includes their national majestic wildlife for meat, and they've already killed around 150 animals. And this has led to, this is basically something which is happening from time to time, and it is not this is not the first time that this has happened. So because of all of this, for meat and other purpose, they are basically killing all these animals. So read about this. You can probably use this in environment, or maybe read about this. Then this is an article that you can read where you talk about how wheat is basically facing production challenges, and while the consumption is there, whereas rice has a surplus problem. So India has basically talking about these two only things. The main country produces only these two commodities. It goes into too much of detail. The article goes into too much of detail, but at the same point of time, if you want to read it, you can probably read it, and analyze it. Then the last 2-3 things, how Telegram CEO Pavel Durov's arrest could be upend the safe harbor protection. Now apart from all of this, what you should actually read is the safe harbor regulation. This part of the article you should read. Even in India, we have this social media protection law. So we have the Information Act, and under section 79 of the act, we have the intermediaries, and all these intermediaries are given this safe harbor, that whatever they publish, they will be unliable to be prosecuted under that, if anything in contravention to Indian rules are published. For example, the Information Technology Rules 2021 says that any particular social media handle, these companies with 5 million users have to comply with compliance officers, and if something has been raised, and if they do not take action within 48 hours or 24 hours, just read about it, then the safe harbor rules do not apply to them, then they can be prosecuted under that. So this is something that you should read, that what is happening in this case. And another important article, Indian MSMEs are losing ground to Chinese goods flooding the market. Something that you need to read, that how they are flooding the market in the production of umbrellas, artificial flowers, human hair, glassware, leather, toys. So all these areas are the areas where this is problematic. And then I on the online portal, I also read an article. You should probably find it out and read it, that the world has a China problem, but India has a special China problem. This is a statement which was given by our EM, the External Affairs Minister. Please read about this article and why this article is important. So this is an important article for you to understand. Just find out, it's available online. So this is all that is there. So with this, I would like to end the class, and we meet the optional folks. We meet at again 2:33. We'll meet in the class, folks, in an online mode. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Bye bye.